Well, good morning, Cam.
Good day, sir. How are you, Mitch?
I'm doing well. It's been a weird week, and I'm exhausted, but here we are, Saturday morning. Got a whole weekend off ahead of me, and I'm feeling pretty good about that.
That is nice. I'm too very, very ready for a couple of days of not work.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm happy to be here, Mitch, because this podcast is not work. This podcast is fun.
It is not work. This is intended to be a fun time and enjoyable for both you and I, and hopefully enjoyable for the listeners. So,
yeah, well, fingers crossed.
It's hit and miss. So, what are you drinking this morning?
I am drinking water, fresh, cold, filtered water, and it is very refreshing.
Got a little H2O rocking.
Mm-hmm.
I should be drinking water because all the years that I did radio and even in college, they teach you never drink coffee, soft drinks, milk, anything like that when you're on the air. Always drink water,
milk.
or you can get away with tea.
Uh-huh.
It tends to be mostly water anyway, but is a little lower in caffeine than coffee, so it doesn't dry out your throat as much. So
caffeine dries your throat out?
Yeah, it's a diuretic, man. It dries you out. But I don't listen, and this morning I'm drinking a local roast from Red Letter Roasters. That it is a Sumatra, which I had talked to the guy that roasted these at one point years ago. He probably wouldn't remember me if you asked him, but I said that a buddy of mine was toying with the idea of doing like a medium roast Sumatra. Because most of the Sumatra you find is all dark roast, and in some cases really dark roast, like burnt roast. But and I like it that way. It's very good in a dark roast like that. The bag that I opened up said dark roast on it, but when I opened it up, it was almost like a mid brown color for coffee, which I would normally associate with like a medium or light roast.
Mm-hmm.
And when I brewed it, it's definitely not a dark roast. This is a very different flavor profile from what you'd normally get with a dark roast Sumatra. It's almost just a little bit acidy, which generally speaking, I'm not a big fan of. But if you think, a little bit of that dark chocolate flavor, a little bit of that earthy flavor that you normally get with the dark roast, and this just has layered on top of it almost just a little bit of that citrusy acid flavor, which it's very weird, very different. I'm not sure if I prefer it over the dark roast. I think I prefer the dark roast, but I'm drinking it this morning, and being that a medium roast, it should have more caffeine in it. So I'll give it a few minutes, and hopefully I'll be wide awake and ready to go here. So
all right. I eagerly anticipate you bouncing off the walls.
So funny story about that, and this isn't in the show doc or anything. It's just funny. We were at work. We would do our Christmas sets the night before Thanksgiving every year. So we'd be getting our Black Friday stuff out on the floor, and then we do like our final run through that Wednesday night. And one of the guys, I can be a little bit manic sometimes, but very very few and far between. Usually I'm a pretty even keeled guy, but I can cut it loose a little bit every once in a while. This guy that I was working with that night had never seen me like that. And he challenged me on top of that to drink a Monster before we got started. And I accepted that challenge and drank the Monster, and him and I had so much fun that he was talking about it for months afterwards. He's like, dude, did you know Mitch has jokes? I think that's what he kept telling me. So, but it was a lot of fun. He doesn't work with us anymore, and I do miss him a bit. He was a good kid. So,
Monster. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, this was a Monster Zero. It was the calorie-free version, and I don't hate the flavor. I mean, it is very citrusy and very, very, it is abrasive, but I don't think it tastes bad.
No, it's less about the taste and more about what it does to your body.
Oh, it did something to my body. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. I had like 3 show titles and just that little bit of open there.
Did you know Mitch has jokes?
I have jokes.
That's my current proposal.
You like that? Mitch has jokes. All right. Well, I want to do a quick little follow up on AirPods Max. I'm wearing them again today, but a little bit different, and you may not be able to see it because this
Oh, I
wire
saw the
is like
cable. I saw it.
so super
I'm
small.
I'm eagle-eyed, Mitch. I saw it.
It's like I don't know if it looks like a hair on the screen. It's like so thin,
Yeah,
so
your
teeny.
Jedi ponytail.
Right, my little Padawan braid.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Nerd.
such a nerd. Oh, I own that. So, but so I do have it plugged in with a cable today, and I do have my other headphones here as a backup just in case. I did not check the battery level of my AirPods before I got started this morning. So if you see me frantically switch headphones, that's because my battery died.
It's okay. I'll make sure to save the most important thing I say for that moment.
You'd probably say something that you don't want me to hear. So I discovered it. They do work. I didn't have a lot of time with them before the last episode to try and figure out why they weren't working quite the way that I thought they should. For one, when you plug you plug the lightning port in, it turns on the headphones, or I mean, the headphones are already on, but it switches over to that input and turns the volume down. Which I mean, if you know that, that's fine. Then just to turn the little digital crown up here up so that you have audio. The other thing it does is I sound, and I don't know if you can corroborate this, but I sound really bassy in these headphones. I mean, I feel like my voice is like in the basement in these headphones right now. You sound normal, but I sound like really low.
You sound normal to me, but maybe you got some beats by accident.
Yeah, I don't know. It almost sounds like that a little bit. I'm learning whether or not to trust these headphones for doing any of that audio mixing like that. Um, but I had a weird experience this morning that I want to share too, in relation to these. So I thought, these aren't quite working the way I want them to. I'm going to take them off. I'm going to put on my Sony headphones that I normally use. They're the Sony, the standard, the MDR 7506s. If you go into any radio studio or anything like that, this is basically the industry standard unless you really want expensive headphones. And these are on about $100. And I've had these for when did I go to college? Was it 20? It's probably right around 20 or 2009, 2008. Trying to think. So I've had these for, probably 10, 15 years. And the pads are all worn down. These things look like they've been through the war. And of course, I got a nice little Apple sticker on the one thing because I guess years ago I thought that was going to be cool. But I put these on after having the AirPods Max on, and oh my gosh, these almost felt uncomfortable. Like they were, I don't know, they felt like they were chintzy and cheap compared to the AirPods Max.
Well, at 1/5 the price, I would hope they felt that way.
Yeah, I mean, what the reason that's weird for me though is that I've been wearing these for, you know, 10, 15 years and never had an issue with them. And now I buy the AirPods Max and I'm just like, oh, these feel like garbage. But they still work well. I'm not upset about them, but it just I do want to put new cushions on them, new cuffs at some point because they're pretty worn down and nasty. But yeah,
I still can't believe you bought the headphones, Mitch.
dude, I love these headphones so much. I've gotten to the point when I buy a product and it changes my routine in the day. I'm a very routine person. I don't know if we've talked about this on the show before. If I buy something that fundamentally changes my daily routine, you know that I love a product. And I've gotten into the habit now of normally when I would get ready for work, I would sit down to eat lunch. I do that about 11 o'clock. I'll eat lunch, and then at 11:30, I've gotta get up and start getting my lunch together or my stuff together for work. So I've got my lunch for work, my any snacks that I want to take with me. I take some soda with me, different things like that. I get it all packed up and ready to go. And I went from throwing my aftershocks bone conduction headphones on while I'm doing that, listening to a podcast, to now I throw these on and I turn music on while I'm doing that. And that's just like such a fundamental change for me that I just that's evidence that I really like these headphones. So yeah.
I forgot about the bone conducting headphones.
Yeah, I've got those. I actually, the only thing I've used my AirPods Pro for recently is for listening to a audiobook while I'm going to sleep at night. So they have been put into my little cigar box next to my bed. Which the only reason I use that is because my cat gets into everything, so I have to have it closed off so he can't, decide to play with all the little doodads that I have sitting, because I charge my Apple Watch in there and other things as well. So yeah, we'll have to talk about that sometime. There's a product solution in that somewhere, but
Your little Techador.
yeah, something like that.
Product right here.
All right.
A humidor with the power mat inside of it, so you can wireless it, and they can call it the Matador.
The Matador. Yeah.
A little guy, the logo.
Yep. We want credit for that. If anybody that's in the audience makes that, we want credit for the name.
Well, I want credit in the form of payment, not in putting my name anywhere near
100%. Royalties. we're talking royalties here.
Yeah. Yes.
So, all right. You brought up the MacBook Air rumors for.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you think?
Well, I don't know about you, Mitch, but I'm a sucker for some hot tech goss, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
I want that tech tea. Is the kid? I'm told that's what they say. What's the tea? Which is hysterical because I'm pretty sure none of them drink tea because they're 12-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, yes, there is a rumor going around that the next MacBook Air, which is just ridiculous, they're already making the next MacBook Air since they just came out with the MacBook Air with the M1 chip in it. Feels like 3 days ago. I know it's not that because I've had it for longer than that, but it's brand spanking new.
Mm-hmm.
And so as someone who bought the M1 MacBook Air and is absolutely in love with it, I'm a little annoyed that there's this rumor that they're going to release the next version of the MacBook Air in all of the pretty colors that the iMac just got released in.
Mm-hmm.
And we know from our last episode that I'm a much bigger fan of the colors than Mitch is. And dang it, I want a bright yellow MacBook Air because that just screams, hi, I'm obnoxious and I like it. That's my style. And so some of the details around the rumor is that it's going to be released next calendar year, 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe second half of 2021, maybe first half of 2022. It just depends. The leaker, Prosser, says that he assumes it's the upcoming MacBook Air powered by the M2 chip or whatever the next version of the M1 is, the M1X, Bionic, Hydro, Super Fantastic, whatever. But the source has been very cryptic, is what the rumor says, other than the colors. So, Mitch, to your point, you mentioned before we got on air that it might not be the MacBook Air. It could be a different version of a MacBook, which still annoys me. It's supposed to have multiple USB 4 ports, all of this goodness. And, I just want a yellow MacBook Air. And I'm annoyed that they just released the MacBook Air and didn't make it colorful. It's petty for me to feel this annoyed by it. I realize that, but that's the problem with buying Apple products is Should they either wait 5 or 6 years to change it, or they change it right away? There doesn't seem to be a middle ground there. So that's that. Colorful iMacs, or sorry, colorful MacBook Airs, a la the new iMacs. Potentially an update to the chip. May not actually be the MacBook Air, but it is and it's supposed to be a 13-inch screen as well. So very similar form factor to the current MacBook Air with some significant visual changes. So that's that. What do you think about it, Mitch?
I can envision that if they went with these colors, the way that they would work it is the outer shell would be the gorgeous, like darker color that I really like. I don't know. I so don't like the white or light gray bezel around the screen. I'm just not a fan of the lighter colors that they have on these machines.
Well, I'm hoping that they would keep the black bezel like they do on the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro.
I would hope so too, but I would suspect what they're going to do, because it's another consumer grade product, that they're going to go with the white or light gray bezel and then go with the pastel colors on the inside.
My MacBook Air, which is consumer grade, has a black bezel.
Right, but so did the last iMac.
All right, touche.
Yeah, I think we're going to start seeing a little bit of divergence with the colors, that the machines that are intended to be more pro machines are going to have the black bezel, and the machines, at least in this generation, the machines that are considered to be more consumer grade are going to have that white bezel on it. So
yeah, because we all know professionals hate color.
Yeah,
they're too boring to enjoy fun colors, Mitch.
So here's my, like, maybe wish casting, is that the high end, or what they consider the pro machines, will come in space gray, will come in silver, but then will also come in more pro style colors. Something similar to what we've got with like the midnight green, with the sky blue, I think it was, or whatever, the ocean blue, or whatever the new blue was on the iPhone 12. That it'll be more of like these darker, richer, I don't want to say more muted, but more like muted, but in a darker way.
Like fall and winter color palettes, not spring and summer.
Correct. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So maybe you'd have some reds, some oranges, even a yellow or something,
a nice
like that.
Burnt umber.
Yeah, that would be just a really dark version of that color. And again, wish casting. There's no reason to believe that they're going to do that, but maybe they'll do what they're doing with the iPhones, is they'll introduce like a new color with each generation. But
it would be pretty dope though. As much as I want a bright yellow MacBook Air, matte black, the whole thing,
matte black,
just
matte black everything. There's a shirt on Cotton Bureau for you there.
Oh yeah, one MKBHD.
Is that from him? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, other people have stole it from him, but it's 100% his deal.
Okay. Yes, I don't. I've only watched him a couple of times.
So. Oh, he's one of my faves in the tech sphere. Very smart guy.
He's really good. I just I don't feel compelled to watch a whole lot of YouTube. So
that's fair.
All right.
I appreciate his what's the word? His ability and willingness to point out the strengths and the weaknesses of, like, he's not an Apple guy. Like, he's very much in the Android. Like, he does both Android and Apple, and he's very broad in what he covers, but he's also very level-headed in how he critiques and applauds different products by different companies. So he has a really balanced approach that I appreciate, because a lot of that stuff is like they're all in their major, Apple fanboys or fangirls, or they're all about Android and Google, and he spans the spectrum there. And so I find his insights about new Apple products and new Google products very insightful because of how balanced his approach is. So that's why I appreciate him.
Yeah. I mean, when I was looking for reviews on the AirPods Max, oddly enough, I watched his review and appreciated it. So And he said pretty much what most everyone else said was they're amazing headphones, but they're a little pricey. So, or a lot pricey.
A lot. So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. You want to hit this next subject?
Yes, I do. The M1 iPad Pro is over, and I quote, 50% faster than previous generation. I own the previous generation iPad Pro. It came out a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
1 year ago. They slapped the M1 in this new puppy, and it is 50% faster. My iPad Pro is already stupid fast. Like the thing is crazy good. And this one blows it out of the water, which just, it makes me sad. Not that this is like the quintessential first world problem, right? I hate using that phrase, but this completely defines what that phrase is. I have an amazing machine that I paid really good money for that does everything that it can possibly do currently. It checks all the boxes of what's capable. It can beat most PCs in performance. It does everything that it is capable of doing. It does excellently. And yet I see a headline like this and I'm just like, ooh, another reason to try and figure out how to sell some of my stuff so I can afford something that's 50% faster and might run Final Cut. Even when I have a MacBook Air that runs Final Cut perfectly. It's moments like these where I get super excited and like, oh, that would be awesome to have. And then I have to have that moment of like, calm down, you child. You don't need this just because it's shiny and new. And it's, anyways, that's the struggle I have here, Mitch, right? Is the desire for new shiny things, but also having to have the sobriety of like, you already have plenty.
Yeah.
This doesn't even come anywhere near a need. This is firmly planted 100% in want.
Uh-huh.
But that being said, this thing is a absolute monster. So you can get a 12.9 inch iPad Pro with a full terabyte hard drive for $1,800. You could also get a 16-inch MacBook Pro with a terabyte of storage and 16 gigs of RAM for $2,800. So for $1,000 more, you can get the flagship MacBook Pro. Guess which one scores better on Geekbench?
I'm going to go with the iPad.
The iPad Pro beats the flagship MacBook Pro in so performance far. And multi-core results.
And that's still on Intel, so we're come this fall or whenever they decide to release the new MacBook Pros on
right. Oh no. Yeah, when they rev the MacBook Pro, but what I'm saying is for $1,000 less, you get a 3-inch smaller screen, but you get a machine that outperforms the last generation's flagship laptop. It's just crazy because that 16-inch MacBook Pro has been like the monster, right? That's the monster laptop that does everything. It crushes stuff. And they throw an M1 chip in an iPad Pro and it beats it. First try. Now, it doesn't beat the MacBook Air, but it's like the difference is minuscule in their results. The A12Z iPad Pro, which I believe is what I have, it's bad comparatively speaking, right? But we're dealing with high end everything. But it just goes to show you how truly powerful this combination of Apple's new chip and their hardware and their software, that full stack combination can really be. And the scary thing is um, it's only going to get better, which is a bit terrifying.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know, seeing these results of the Geekbench scores and how it performs against current industry leaders and other tablets in the Apple lineup, is I like it because it's nerdy and you get comparisons, but it really does excite me for what could be possible on the iPad Pro either this year after WWDC or next year. I know I've been beating this drum for a while, but don't worry. We only have 3 or 4 weeks until WWDC, so I can either finally shut up about it or be even more excited. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So those are the big rumors right now, Mitch.
I hope for your sake that they do something like that this year. And then at the same time, I think to myself, well, then there's all this money that we got to come up with to be able to do that. So, but we'll see. It should be really cool. I like it.
I can be patient when I want to.
Yeah. So can I, but I wouldn't call it patience. I would call it just like not being able to do it. So I'm certainly not patient in the process. So,
Fair point.
based on the fact that we didn't have a lot to discuss today, or any kind of main topic for the day today, I checked out Pod Decks again and found a card deck that might be fun to do on the show today. So, for those of you who do not know what Pod Decks is, and I'm being transparent because I think there's a lot of podcasts that use these that don't talk about it, but I kind of dig these decks, and we did a Would You Rather here a couple months back, and I think we had a lot of fun with that. The deck that I picked out for us today is called The Future Freaks Me Out.
It's a good title.
It's just under 500 cards of just like future predictions, different things like that, just to spur some conversation about what we could do in the future, what could happen in the future. So we have not previewed any card. I did look at a couple of example cards just to kind of get a feel for the deck, but we haven't looked for anything yet. I'm sharing my screen with Cam so that he can see the cards as well. So let's go ahead and check out the first. Where will the hippest vacation spot be in 20 years from now?
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Lincoln, Nebraska. Yeah, I don't know if I see that. 20 years from now, the hippest. That's, if you said 5 years from now, I could probably come up with something a little bit closer. But 20 years from now,
it's gonna be in Africa or Asia, guaranteed.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be in the United States.
No, I was totally kidding about Lincoln. That's never going to be the hippest spot.
I will say, just for conversation's sake and for excitement's sake, I don't know if you've seen anything about the Star Wars, is it Star Cruiser or something like that, where they're creating basically it's a hotel that is basically to mimic an experience of getting into a ship and flying and being out in space. And you run into enemies out there and stuff like that. There's a Jedi dojo on the ship. You can align with the First Order or the Resistance while you're there. They've got, it's only, I think they figured that it's like about 350 people that can stay there at any one time, and it's like a 3-day experience or something like that. It's ridiculously expensive from what the rumors are saying. Something like $3,000 a person to do it.
Yikes.
And then they have family packages. So if you bring a family, I think it's like $7,200 for like a family of 4 or 5. But yeah, I mean, it's not cheap by any means, but everything is paid for. It's much like going on a cruise, that it's all expenses are included. Um, the only thing that isn't included is there's apparently an excursion to Batu in the process, which is basically they drop you off at Galaxy's Edge for a few hours. But they do it in a way they're actually developed a bus or something like that that is all enclosed. There's no windows on the bus that the passengers can see out, but they have screens in there to give you the illusion that you're flying through space. And
That's so
it's
weird, man.
yeah, it's supposed to be like a complete experience that you supposed to genuinely feel like you're not on Earth, like you've flown off and you're flying through space and all that kind of stuff. So it's very interesting. I don't know that's going to be a hotspot in 20 years, but I if I said 5 years from now, I think it would be pretty hot 5 years from now. How will eyeglasses be improved 20 years from now?
I mean, I think the obvious answer is augmented reality, right?
I think I agree with that. I was going to let you say it.
And but that's assuming that that's an improvement, which I'm not so sure it is.
If I could just get, like, say, date and time on the inside of my glasses, I think it would be cool. Like if I'm doing, if I need to do like maps information, I've got turn by turn directions to have those, just down in the corner of my vision, like maybe off over here. I think that stuff would be cool. I think you could really overdo it though.
Yeah, I think the other thought here is, improved laser eye surgery so that you will need glasses for many more cases, right? Than what's currently there, or permanent contact lenses, things like that. So I think eyeglasses, I think for sure that AR is going to be a thing, whether or not it sticks or is useful or actually winds up causing accidents on the road. That's debatable, but I think there's progress in what's capable medically or with contact lenses would be a big area of improvement too.
Yeah. I think we've seen a lot of what we're probably going to see in 20 years. And I think the interesting thing that I look at now is when you go back and you watch movies that were supposedly supposed to take place now, and our past version of what now should look like is so drastically different. They were talking 20, 30 years down the road, like flying cars and different things like that. When you look at Back to the Future, you look at,
I want my hoverboard, man.
Yeah, I mean they really had an idea of how much progress can happen over that many years. And
I mean, they were wrong, but sure.
Well, I think the thing is that they thought priorities would be in one area and priorities changed. Obviously our computer, I mean, we're not getting faxes in our living room. I think of the scene with Marty's dad, or Marty actually, getting fired via fax in his office. Obviously we didn't,
but the kid has a hoverboard.
Yeah. So priorities were turned out to be very different in technology than what was predicted. But when we start looking at that, 20 years still isn't that long out. So I don't see that things change a significant amount. But I think it would be neat to have built-in anti-fog coatings, especially I think that's come to the forefront a lot with mask wearing and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't think I disagree with anything that we've said so far, but I can't think of anything else that they could improve. So maybe they'll have some weird looking glasses, but that's because I'm old. Yeah. And what will humans be able to get tattooed on themselves to make life more convenient 20 years from now?
QR codes.
You
Oh
can do
wait,
that.
we can already do that now.
Yeah, we can do that now, but I think the weird thing about QR codes is I can't imagine they're going to work in 20 years if you had them tattooed now.
What will humans be able to get tattooed on themselves?
I saw a hilarious joke on the Babylon Bee yesterday that it said something about liberals are getting masks tattooed on their face so that they wouldn't be misrepresented as a Republican when they're not wearing a mask,
Oh boy,
or some garbage like that. It was pretty funny.
yeah. I don't understand how a tattoo could make your life more convenient. Because like convenience means it helps you get something done easier.
So again, we're looking at something where, 20 years from now, things probably aren't going to change that drastically. But what if you could actually get some kind of circuitry tattooed into you?
Nope. Hard pass. Swipe left.
Yeah. I'm not saying that I would be for this, but the tattoo would actually be able to conduct like a very low amount of electricity to be able to, like, you could tap numbers or something like that on your skin
No, I'm
to
good.
enter information. Yeah.
I'm good.
No, it's totally weird, totally out there, but I'm not sure what the application would be for the technology either. But yeah, I don't know. That's a weird one.
A map to your house on your arm so you never get lost.
I might need something like that in 20 years. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. What athlete do you think will be on the cover of Wheaties in 5 years? I'm gonna go with Trevor Lawrence.
I have no idea who that is, but
he was the number one pick in the NFL draft this year. He played quarterback at Clemson. He now plays quarterback for the terrible Jacksonville Jaguars, coached by the terrible Urban Meyer.
So I am going to go out on a limb here and say that Wheaties doesn't exist in 5 years.
That's a bit morbid.
Wheaties goes out of business because they have a contamination in their product line and lose a ton of business.
Well, it wouldn't just be Wheaties then. It would be like Kellogg's or General Mills or whoever makes them.
Oh no, I have no idea who I would put on a Wheaties box in 5 years.
But. Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, maybe they'll have like a Hall of Fame version of Wheaties. So
then it's back to MJ. There we go.
All right. This might be controversial because of the pronunciation of this word, but will gifts...
I will judge you so hard if you say this wrong.
Will gifts become an acceptable form of communication, making words less relevant?
I'm so happy you said it correctly.
We'll have a conversation about that in a second, but first, do you think they'll become a form of communication, making words less relevant?
Yes to the first part, no to the second part. Will they become an acceptable form? Yeah, they already are. I use GIFs all the time in our work Slack because sometimes
it's just funny.
Sometimes you just need to see a lady dancing in the church aisle to let someone know how happy you are. You know what I mean? Or a little baby in a fetal just crying on the floor of a supermarket. Like they communicate, but that doesn't make words less relevant.
Oh, absolutely not.
I will die on that hill. Words mean things.
So on the GIFs argument, it stands for graphical interface format. It's not graphic, it's graphic.
Oh my gosh, Mitch, we are on the same page here, dude. This happens so infrequently. I'm so happy. It's also not peanut butter.
To the creator of GIF or GIF, who says that it should be pronounced GIF, is wrong.
Yep, he's wrong.
Yeah, because that's apparently the argument that people that say GIF use, is that the creator of the GIF says that it's pronounced GIF. and he's just wrong.
Yep.
So
100%.
what would you do if you found out that you had a long lost sibling you never knew about or you never knew you had?
Judge my dad harshly.
There would be lots of questions.
Yes, so many questions.
Like, you remember that talk we had when I was a teenager?
Gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, I would probably at least want to get to know them a little bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would love it, especially if it was a brother. I always wanted a younger brother.
Hey, brother.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I would have so many questions.
Mm-hmm.
So many questions. I would have to have many long chats with my dad because I'm assuming it would be his child. Since
Right. Yeah, because your mom would have known.
Right. Well, there's always the bizarre case that I am not the oldest child and my mom gave birth to someone before she was with my dad that he doesn't know about, right?
Yeah,
so I guess I shouldn't judge my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom could have had someone else's kid before I was born.
Yeah.
But
so I don't believe that this would ever be the case. But did your parents have the talk with you when you were a teenager?
My dad had the talk with me.
Mm-hmm.
Right after Mighty Ducks. I was watching it on TV in my bedroom. Mind you, my bedroom fully Mighty Ducks themed.
Mm-hmm.
Paint scheme, wallpaper, blanket, all Mighty Ducks. I was obsessed when I was a kid. I was kind of growing out of it at that point, but when the room is painted and everything, it just, it stays that way. And I was watching it on TV in my room, and my dad finished the movie, and then immediately, with no segue, went straight into the sex talk. I was just like, dude, literally read the room. Could you have picked a worse time for this?
So this is the talk that I got. And I love my dad. I'm not picking on him, but it was just funny because my dad was just so uncomfortable. And my mom put him up to it. So, because that's the way my family works. I don't know if it's similar in other families, but my mom probably is like, "Oh, when you're out, you got to talk to Mitch about this." So we're out hunting, and we're driving out to hunt, and we're in my dad's truck, and my dad says something along the lines of, "You know about sex?" I'm like, "Yeah." Thanks for making this weird, Dad. Of course, that's what's going on in the back of my head. He's like, so do you know that there's a right time to do it and a wrong time? I'm like, sure, because I really don't want you to talk about this. Sure. And he's like, you should wait until you're married. Your mom and I waited, and we were very happy that we waited. And I'm like, okay. He's like, good. And that was it, pretty much. There was nothing else.
Oh, well, you
could tell he wanted to have that conversation as much as I did. So
oh no, my dad was enthusiastic about the conversation and shared far more detail than any teenager would ever want to know about their parents. It was horrific, which is why I still remember exactly where and when and what was going on when it happened.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, bro, we're good here. This does not, you went past the finish line by about 200 meters on this one, guy. Like,
yeah,
I have things in my head I will never be able to unremember.
Yep.
But that's my dad. He is like just 200% on everything.
Yeah.
Which may make me make a little more sense, but
yeah, it does actually.
He's a he's a boisterous and energetic man.
Yeah. So how would you break the ice at a business function?
What does this have to do with the future?
I have no
Do I have
idea.
a business function in my future? Oh gosh.
How would you break the ice at a business function?
Giant polar bear.
Oh, I totally know how this would work. Hey, so did your parents ever have the talk with you?
Oh gosh. Dude, you know that you would say that and it would be to someone in HR and you would get fired right away.
Oh, speaking of which, have you watched any of Mythic Quest?
I watched the first season. Yeah, it's
Dude, the second season just started,
yeah,
and
I
it
haven't
is
gotten to
way
it yet.
better than the last season.
Oh, that's impressive because season 1 was hysterical.
And the HR girl or HR lady has a much more prominent role
Oh,
in this one, and she is
she's so good.
hilarious.
Yeah, she's so good.
Oh, she is. Yeah, that's been the perfect role for her. So, will men still be sporting long beards, or will facial hair be out of style in 20 years from now? My prediction, I think it's going to go out of fashion for a little while, and it's
And then
probably
come
about
back.
20
Yeah.
years from now that it'll come back into fashion. So,
Yeah. Well,
seems to be
yeah.
on about a 20-year loop.
No, because like 20 years ago, early 2000s.
Oh yeah, maybe more. It's more
No,
like
everyone, like
30 or
even the
40
punk
years.
rock bands were clean shaven for the
Mm-hmm.
most part.
Okay.
Like I'm thinking like all the popular music acts and actors from 2000s, late 90s, everyone was clean shaven.
Okay. So
Very rarely did people, if anything, they had like mustaches, right?
yeah,
Like
so
some of the older guys.
yeah. So I'm a
You got
little
to go
bit
back to like
older,
the
I think.
60s and 70s when long beards were. So I think maybe in 20 years, yeah, there's either a lot of clean shaven or like very shorter, well
Mm-hmm.
maintained beards would be my guess.
Okay. Because I'm old, I was thinking more like 70s, early 80s as my last reference. And then I'm
Yeah.
realizing, oh, yeah, we're a lot further along than I was thinking. So,
Now, granted,
no, you're probably
there are
right.
certain populaces in this country that will always have long beards, but
Right.
that's
And
neither here nor there.
I think that when you look at least what I've seen happen with fashion over the years, is that they've really embraced a diversity in fashion that we didn't have when we were kids. It was just like there was the one thing that we did, or the one or two things that we did as kids
Baggy
that were
everything.
cool. Yeah. Well, for you it was baggy. For me it was like tight rolling my jeans and stuff when I was in elementary school and
If your
junior
cigarette
high.
pack rolled up in your sleeve, Mitch.
It's not that far back. Good grief. But back in the 80s it was neon colors. When I was in junior high and high school it was all about tight rolling your pants and probably the equivalent of skinny jeans today. But yeah, when we got into the night, actually no, in high school it would have been baggy pants and stuff like that because don't forget I'm about 10 years ahead of you there. So yeah, so you would have
Oh
been
man. So
yeah,
what
you
year
would have
did you
been right
graduate high
around
school?
hmm?
What year did you graduate high school?
95.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah, so you would have been like 8 years old.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I would
So
have been 8 when
so
you
that was
graduated.
right. That was right, kind of at the cusp of the baggy jean thing, because at that point it was mostly like your I don't know how you characterize this movement, but it would have been like your alternative,
Yeah, the
like
grunge
music
scene was
wise.
just about to blow up. Yeah,
Yeah, that was around right around the time that the
Pearl
grunge
Jam
scene
and Nirvana and
and
all that whole scene.
what kind of sparked the whole baggy jeans, at least in around me, was the whole like get your clothes from Goodwill thing, where everybody was wearing like grungy old clothes and so like I knew one kid who would go to Goodwill and buy like size 50 jeans and understand he was probably size 32 and then he would get literally a rope to tie the jeans around his waist and
That's a look.
that's how he dressed, and that
That's a
was
look.
baggy jeans for him, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where a lot of that came from. So, and eventually the fashion industry caught up to actually make baggy jeans. So,
Unfortunately.
but all right, what new invention will be made for the blind?
Mm.
There's no time period on this, so
You know what would be interesting? In this is something that I could actually think of where um, a glasses with technology baked in could help, not to help them see. Maybe it would just be headphones, um, but also glasses to cover their eyes, right? Because a lot of blind folks will wear sunglasses so as
correct.
to, you know, to cover their eyes. So that's why I was thinking it could be glasses, but instead of AR, it's able to communicate like via audio to them, but it has spatial awareness like self-driving cars do. So it would help them better navigate out in public based on their surroundings.
Yeah.
And so
I
it
can
could say,
see that.
okay, you're 20 feet until the intersection. You are 2 feet. There's a building 2 feet to your right. Someone's approaching on your left, or someone's coming up from behind. Like if it was able to do that spatial awareness, like self-driving cars are. Now, granted, getting that from a car down to something as small as glasses, or even like a phone size that you could wear in your pocket that would connect to your headphones. That's obviously a huge transition, but something like that would, I think, would be incredible.
Yeah. And I think my first thought was technology that would actually give them the ability to see, some kind of, in sci-fi, we oftentimes see like ocular technology that uses something akin to a camera that then, because I think that what they're missing right now is to be able to interface the ability to interface with the optic nerve, but something where they could actually connect technology to your brain, very much like cybernetics.
Yeah, that's a bit terrifying.
But the thing is there's no time period put on this, so on an infinite time scale, I would think that this technology will exist at some point.
Eyeballs that are computers that you replace the eyeballs that you were born with computers. Yeah. And
I like your spatial audio idea. I thought of that too, very much like a Daredevil type concept. Where you can hear the things around you in some way, shape, or form. You might have to, the blind person may have to learn how to navigate that, but once they would learn, they could see in a sense through the technology. So yeah, I like it. What will become out of date, dangerous, and removed from all homes 20 years from now?
Television.
That was my first thought.
Space heaters.
Space heaters, I like that. They'll be come up with some kind of way to heat homes. That I mean, not that they don't have that right now, but they would replace the idea of a space heater with something that was safer.
I'm just trying to think of stuff that I don't want my kid to get into. Like electrical plugs, the ability.
I thought of that too.
The ability to reach a pot of boiling anything.
Well, I mean, they're doing a lot of stuff with induction cooking now too, where your range doesn't actually heat up; it's the pot that heats up. So
right, but if she can still, I mean, she's 4.5. Like
I get it.
She's big enough that she can reach all that stuff. She knows not to, but still. Yeah, I mean, I think like the space heater comes to mind for obvious reasons. Also like water heaters.
Water heaters, maybe. I don't know that I call that.
No, because if those go bad, they go through the house and out the roof.
Yeah, I can see that. Another thought that I had was, how do you make cars more less dangerous?
No moss gasoline.
I think gasoline was my first thought. I don't know if 20 years is. I don't know if 20 years from now they'll have all gas cars off the road and be replaced with electric.
No, but I think in 20 years they will stop producing gas
Quite
cars.
possible. Yeah.
So I mean, there's going to be that tail off, but like I'm fully expecting my kid who's 4, she'll have to learn how to drive when she's 16. But I think she will spend the majority of her life not driving and being driven by the car. So
my personal feeling about this, and I don't think this is going to happen in 20 years, but what I would personally like to see, and I know that this is probably not going to, this opinion is probably not going to be shared by everybody, but I really like the idea of networked vehicles on the road. The fact that the idea that all vehicles are aware of each other. They're self-driving. They can stay on the road. They can drive. The utopian future that I see vehicle wise is that every car communicates with other cars on the road, and every car knows where the other cars are. That literally you could get to a point where cars can drive a foot to 6 inches from each other at speeds that you and I would not be able to do that because we wouldn't have the reflexes to be able to handle it. So the idea that your fast lane on the roads could be 120 miles an hour, with cars within 6 inches of each other because they know what the cars are doing. Like there's no variables for them to worry about. They get it. And when there is danger, they all know it miles in advance. So they can slow down, they can react to that. The car's doing all the thinking.
Right. And even on top of that, you then don't need stop signs or yield signs because cars can pass, each other without having to worry about it. You would probably still want stop signs in cities, or stop lights in certain parts of certain cities so that you can control the flow more. But I would imagine most stop signs and yield signs would just go away.
Yeah.
And there would be far fewer stoplights, and that would only be so that you could help route traffic more efficiently. If that is more efficient than the computer just being able to interweave cars like chaos.
What's probably reasonable for 20 years from now is some kind of, I think what we're already seeing with the advanced cruise controls, the adaptive cruise control, the lane monitoring, stuff like that becoming like you basically could put your car in autopilot once you get on the road or once you get on the highway. That the highway is, you wouldn't really need to drive at all. You would have to drive once you get off the highway and go into town or something like that. You'd still be driving there. But the idea that once you get on the highway, you can just, figuratively speaking, maybe hit a button and take the foot off the gas, even maybe just kind of stop paying attention to what's going on around you and be able to talk to your family, do other things. You're not engaged in the driving process as much. So for the most part, a lot of that exists already. What Tesla's doing with their autopilot is similar to that. Although you still have to pay attention, you still have to be aware of your surroundings. But I could see in 20 years us driving less and less on highways for sure. I'm just waiting for you to agree or disagree with that.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay. What will be completely digital 20 years from now?
Business paperwork.
Oh, that's a utopia I could get behind. I am so sick. You have no idea in my job how much paper we use every week. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's messy.
I think the ideal here is that paper books are still available. Magazines and newspapers, right? But all business related paperwork, all digital.
Yeah.
Just get rid of it.
I'm 100% behind that. I don't know if I would say completely digital in 20 years, but I think we've come so long with music. When was the last time you bought a CD?
Oh gosh. I can't even, it's been a long time since I bought a bunch of stuff digitally, but the last time I bought a physical CD, goodness me. Yeah. College, maybe.
The better question for me probably is for my personal habits is when was the last time I bought a CD by choice for something that I could get digitally? Because my brother-in-law records albums and his stuff is some of it's available digitally, some of it's not. So, and I typically will buy stuff from him to help support him. And I think the last CD I bought that wasn't one of his was a Project 86 CD that I just wanted a hard copy of, but I literally think I opened it, played it once, and put it back in the package, and have listened to it digitally ever since.
Mm-hmm.
So I think music could definitely be one of those. I know for people that really are into vinyl and listen to stuff on vinyl, they're probably never going to go 100% digital. And these people now, which I find kind of hilarious, that collect cassette tapes, because that's become like a big deal in certain areas. But I think for general purpose use, like I'm not even sure if we're going to own our own music in the future, that it's going to be primarily subscription services that a lot of people go through.
Mm-hmm. You know what my biggest issue with digital music is?
Hmm.
The lack of liner notes, Mitch. You don't get the ability to flip it open and read through the lyrics. You don't get to see the pictures, all the other fun stuff that bands used to put in the CD liner notes.
Yeah.
It's like, why is that not a thing anymore? It drives me crazy.
Well, Apple tried to do that with what was it? Trying to remember what they used to call those, because they used to have like liner notes that bands could put in with their digital albums. I can't remember what they called them, but it was like enhanced albums or something like that. And there would be, and some of them were animated, which I thought was interesting, but a lot of them were just like a PDF that you opened and you could look through everything.
Yeah, so like
But
minimally, just give me a PDF, right?
mm-hmm.
But secondarily, on the animated thing, Royal Blood just released their latest album like 2 weeks ago, and the CD cover itself is completely animated. So like
Yeah.
as you're looking through, it's spinning and doing all this really cool stuff, which I thought was neat. But I'm also like, give me the liner notes, man.
Mm-hmm.
I wanna be able to like get the inside track on some of this stuff.
I think the thing that I used to always use those liner notes for was looking through the lyrics, and you've got features for that now.
Right, but it was
Digitally.
also like you got to see pictures of them in the studio sometimes, and like there would be like sometimes they write a note to the people that bought the album, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of nice. And sometimes the real time lyrics in Apple Music are not right, or in my
Yeah.
case, for a good chunk of the music I listen to, they don't have them yet. So,
No, I agree with that.
but whatever.
I would say that from a nostalgia point, I get what you're saying, but I can't say that I really miss them that much. So I get it. Will we still be using Wi-Fi, or will something better be invented in 20 years from now?
Wi-Fi 17.
I kind of wonder if we won't just go uh
LTE.
all yeah, I was gonna say like 5G, or like cellular, because I think that's the hope of the middle millimeter wave 5G, that being so fast and stuff like that. It's just you have to have the transmitters in such a dense cluster to make that work. But I think 20 years, it's not a crazy thing to say that we'll pretty much just have wireless internet everywhere, and you'll just pay for a subscription that way, and not necessarily even in the house. But at the same time, I think to myself, well, what about like wired? Like sometimes you need a wired connection, but maybe it'll just be that fast you won't. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, like if you look back 20 years, the type of internet connections we had back then.
Dude, I remembered when I upgraded to broadband internet when I was going to broadcasting school.
Mhm.
I I would get up. Now I could never do this now, because it was crazy to think of how little sleep I was getting when I was in college. But I went to school at night, and then I went and I worked a overnight job, and then when I got home in the morning, but usually around 8 o'clock, I would sleep until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, And then get up, do homework, get ready for school, head off to school. And usually I needed to be out the door at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon to get to school because I had to plan, because I think I started school at 5:30 and I needed to make sure that I had plenty of time in case, because this was up in Minneapolis that I was going to school. So, and I needed to plan about an hour and a half in case traffic was bad. But I don't even know how I survived doing, because that was like 4 or 5 days a week that I was doing this. I remember when we got broadband, and I went from it taking me 2 hours to go through from my laptop to, and understand, I had plugged my laptop into the Ethernet plug. I had a long Ethernet cable that came over to the couch. I would plug in my laptop, and I would go online and I would search news articles. I would print them off on paper and take them to school with me, because this was my news for doing my in studio work for the night. And it would take me like 2 hours to pull all this stuff together, because I had to sit and wait for the internet to load the next page.
Mm-hmm.
When we got broadband internet in our apartment, it went from 2 hours to like 20 minutes. And so now I didn't need to spend all this time. I mean, I would be working on homework while I was waiting for pages to load.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was just crazy. So yeah, I don't know if we'll have anything that's specifically called Wi-Fi. I can envision a future where I'll put a box up on the first floor of the house where it can pick up the wireless signal, and then I can run cabling off of that to computers if I want them plugged into something. But otherwise, like down in my studio here, I might not be able to pick up the cellular signal very well, which my phone is fine. But if I couldn't, then I could have a wired computer in that, and maybe I want to just build a Faraday cage and just have a wire coming in. But I would have some way to wire a computer in. But otherwise, like, everything would just work on the Wi-Fi, or not the Wi-Fi, the cellular network.
Yeah.
So
Mitch in a Faraday cage.
Oh, I've had thoughts of actually doing that. I don't know, but just cause, I guess, I don't know. What can you purge from your life to help you see things clearer? This is a good question to end on, I think. And then we'll talk about what's delighting us this week. What can you purge from your life to help you see things clearer?
Honestly, like, I know I said this earlier as a joke, but like television, like, I watch a lot of sports. I only watch like one or two, maybe three shows. But there's a lot of, like, I spend a lot of time watching soccer, basketball, things like that, football in the fall. Those aren't bad things, but they're often escapes from having to think about stuff that's going on, right? I just want to be entertained. And I can shut my brain off for a while. But
so I have thoughts about that.
I think there's a place for that sometimes, but I also think it can be an unhealthy use of time in avoiding dealing with things that are going on. So
I think you need to be careful with it. But here's what I've learned over the last probably 10 years or so, that I've been really working on trying to do a lot of that kind of stuff where, just watching so much TV takes so much time out of your day. And, where I would love to keep up with hockey, maybe watch baseball or something like that, it's such a time investment. And so I don't, for that reason. And football, on the other hand, is one Sunday a week for 3 hours. And to me, that's more manageable. So that's kind of why I watch football over perhaps, and not, I mean, I enjoy football, but that's why I've chosen football more often to be the sport that I follow. It's just it doesn't require as much of a time investment unless you try to watch every game. But I don't do that because there's only two teams that exist on Sunday: the Packers and whoever they're playing. So, um, but I think that in doing so, I have run into where my job gets stressful, and if I try to be productive in the morning, because I work second shift, so 12:30 to 9 every day. If I try to be productive in the morning and then go to work and be productive all day, I burn myself out. You know, I've I've recognized that. So I don't like I plan for days where I'll watch a movie or I'll catch up on a couple shows or, you know, wrestling for the two of us. You know, that can be a time commitment. So planning that out and making sure that I'm using that time wisely, you know, because you do need to have time to kind of just veg a little bit, let your brain relax. So you're not burning yourself out, but you have to balance that with productive time as well. So I would agree. You know, in a situation like yours where you're working during the day like that, and I would do this too, is I would come home at night. I would eat dinner, plop down in front of the TV, and probably watch TV the rest of the night. That's what would be common for me. Um, I would agree that even watching 2 hours of TV a night might be a little bit much. So I've tried to cut down on that. I've tried to but at the same time, you've got to have that recreation time, and maybe it's taking a walk, maybe it's listening to a podcast, maybe it's just doing something else, but TV certainly could go away, but you'd have to replace it with something that you're not expending a lot of brain activity on, just to make sure that you get that rest. So that would be my response to what you said about TV. um for me, like, I've tried to do a lot of this over probably the last 10 to 20 years. And I think one of the first things that I did, that, man, I was listening to so much talk radio, and there came a point where, because when I was listening to talk radio, I was commuting a lot up in the Twin Cities, and when we moved from Minnesota in back for me back to Wisconsin, I kind of got away from listening to a lot of that stuff, and then I just came to the point where it's like news doesn't make me happy, and most of it, like, I don't need to know about, you know. And I heard somebody at one point say that, if you were to just stop reading or watching or listening to the news and just listen to what your friends care about, and or when you go to work and people talk about a news story, and then just at that point, then you can say, okay, well, maybe it's something that's big to them, so maybe it's something that I need to know about. And then you spend a little bit of time on the internet just to kind of get a basic understanding of what the news story is. That, it's not the worst way of kind of keeping attention to what's going on in the world. And so I've kind of been doing that for a lot of, for probably the last 10 years or so. And I'll tell you what, man, I am so much happier without knowing every single thing that's going on in the world and having to have an opinion on everything. Because especially politics, having an opinion on something puts you into a camp that if you don't agree with somebody, now we have to have an argument about it. And I whatever, I don't need that. I don't need that in my life. There's enough reasons to be angry with people and everything, that I don't need another reason to have issue with other people. Not that I look for reasons to have issue with people. I don't mean to sound like that, but enough stuff comes up and that I'm dealing with, that I don't need more issues. So yeah. So TV, I would agree with. I think the what you're paying attention to certainly, um, yeah. I think for the most part, for me at least, I need to care. I need to like be careful what I care about. And I said this at work one day, and my boss looked at me funny. But for me at work, I'm a perfectionist. I am like want to be the best at everything, and for me, I have to regulate what I care about because otherwise I freak myself out about everything. And so I that's a mental discipline that I've had to practice for a long time. And so for me it's like figuring out what do I want to care about, that what do I want to let in and take up my mind share of mine, and what do I need to just push away and not care about. So I think that's been a really interesting mental exercise for me to be able to manage all that.
Yeah, there's always like that choice, right? Because you know, with the access we have to everything, we can you just get overwhelmed, right? By
100%.
by everything. So I think there's I think there's value in um deciding what matters to you and what doesn't. Um, but I think that's a conversation that needs to be ongoing with yourself, right? Because sometimes you may say, "Well, this isn't important to me now," but in 6 months it needs to become important to you, right? For whatever reasons, external changes, internal changes, stuff like that. So yeah, as long as that conversation's ongoing, right, and you're aware of, you know, that, I think that's a fairly healthy place to be. Especially if you're open to people saying, "No, Mitch, you need to care about this."
Yeah. So no, I definitely there are things like, especially in my job, that if the boss comes to me and says, "Hey, I need you to take care of this," or "I need you to be watching this thing," definitely I have to pay attention to that. But I have a guy that I work with that he's like hugely religious, hugely Republican. Um, he wears his Trump hat to work every day still. Um, and every time he comes into the break room, he wants to talk politics. And I can't tell you how many times I've looked at him and said, "Hey, Ted, I don't care. I I I appreciate that that's something that you're really passionate about, but I don't want to talk about that." And he's been very reasonable about it, and he stops and he'll quiet down, and he's respected me on that. And I haven't been disrespectful to him, but it's just, I just can't do that, because then I start, like, the hate starts to build in me, and not against him, but against the like, oh, what's Nancy Pelosi's done, and then I want to hate her, and then that's not, God doesn't want that from us, you know and I just know that politics and stuff like that just brings the worst out in me.
Yeah.
And so, and I've explained that to him before. Like, I just can't do that. And so he's been really good about that. So cool. Anything else to say about that?
Nope.
All right. Well, I might argue that this wasn't as much fun as the Would You Rather, but I think it was good. So we'll have to keep the pod decks available here to maybe I'll let you pick the category next time, and we'll see where we go from there. But
Take sports trivia for 200, Alex.
yeah. So what's delighting you today, Cam?
A game called Hearthstone. Have I talked to you about Hearthstone yet, Mitch?
Is that the card game that's tied to World of Warcraft?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. I have played it before.
Okay.
So
I can't remember if I've talked about it on the show before, but I'm gonna talk about it again if I have, because I'm digging it, Mitch. So It is. Did you ever play like Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or any of those card games back in the day?
Not really. I have to be honest with you. It kind of came a little bit after the time where I think it would have been that I would have really been able to get into it. So I didn't. I know of it, but I'm not not as familiar with it as you might be.
Gotcha. Okay, so what Hearthstone is it's a strategic card battling game where you build decks of 30 cards and then you fight your opponent with the cards, and it's there's I think 9 different classes that you can choose from that all have different strengths and weaknesses and available cards. So there's each class has its own set of cards, and then there's a neutral set of cards that any class can pull from. Um, and then each class hero has their own hero power, which is a unique capability that only that class can do. And then you build your deck of 30 cards, and you can have at most 2 copies of a card, unless it's a legendary. Then you can only have one. So the fewest amount of cards you could have in your deck would be 2 copies of 15, or you could have 30 individual cards. And then each turn you gain a mana, and cards cost a certain amount of mana to do or to play. And then you fight your opponent, and the first person to get your opponent from 30 HP down to 0 wins. And it is so much fun because it's not a physical card game. It's completely digital. So you're able to do things on the digital version of the game that you could never pull off physically. You can create multiple copies of cards. You can add them to your deck. You can change their stats. You can change their characteristics that all show up live on the screen that you could never pull off with physical cards.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all animated, and they all have like funny sayings when they attack. Like there's multiple times where I laugh out loud during a game because of things that the cards say or do. They're all hand drawn really well. The different playing fields all have different looks and feels. You can interact with them, which is pretty fun. And there's multiple game modes now, and they have changed the ranking system to be a little easier to understand. But I love it. I play it every day. Yesterday I was at the highest rank I've ever been, and I'm trying to push forward to a new. I've already hit my record, but I'm trying to push to the next level. There's bronze. There's like the beginning levels. Then there's bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, and legend. And I'm trying to get to platinum for the first time, which is hard. But I'm getting a lot better at the game, and it's super fun. I really enjoy it, and it's free to play. So if that sounds like fun to anyone, you should try it out. You could spend a lot of money on it if you wanted to, but you don't have to. Everything about it is free to play. Just like, Fortnite. You can spend a lot of money in Fortnite, but you don't need to. So that's what is delighting me, because it's fun and I enjoy it. And you get to think and strategize and like, oh, I could do this and then do that and make this combo, and that would do that and that would trigger this, and then I win.
Yeah.
It's very satisfying from the strategic and planning mindset. But you got to be good at math. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I have played it before, and I did enjoy it a lot. So good stuff. All right, Hearthstone.
If anyone's listening and wants to play me in a Hearthstone match, I would gladly accept. Just shoot me a message on Twitter, and I'll give you my battle tag.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Maybe I'll jump in and let you beat me bad. All right, and I did put a link. I did put a link in the show notes to the Hearthstone website.
Nice.
So anybody who's looking for more information on that can find it. So,
yeah, it's really fun. I highly encourage it.
Yeah, and I've got links in the show notes for everything that we've talked about today as well. So if you're looking for more information, check it out.
Such a professional, Mitch.
Such
a professional.
Sometimes you got to put a little extra work into a podcast to make it good. So it gives me something to do while you're talking too. Just listen.
Mitch does have jokes, folks.
Yeah, I do. I have jokes. All right. Well, what's delighting me today is in a further effort to get ready for a said vacation that I seem to not be able to stop talking about. I bought a couple of products that from a company called 12 South. Now, 12 South is my pick for what's delighting me today because I think this is one of those companies that just makes some really cool stuff. Years ago, they were really well known for making their book cases for the iPhone. They came out with them for the iPad, for the MacBooks. They have also gone on to make their high rise stands for the iMac, stands for MacBooks, for MacBook Pros. They just have so much really cool stuff that they make.
The hover bar for the iPad's pretty awesome too.
Hover bar for the iPad.
I really like that.
Yeah, and the list goes on and on. I went on the website earlier just to look through all the products that they had, and there's like 4 pages of just really cool different products that you could choose from.
Are they the ones that have the Mac scented candle as well?
I think so, but I don't know that I saw that on the website today when I was looking. So they may have had that, but I'm not sure that they
This candle
offer that right
smells
now.
of recycled aluminum.
Yeah, I mean, certainly we could do a little bit of digging to see if they're the ones, but I think they did. But they've got cord management stuff up there. They've got those little riser stands. They've got a really cool little stand that if you use a iMac, I'm sorry, not an iMac, Mac Mini, that you can put your monitor on top of the stand, and then they actually put a little shelf in there that's perfect size for the Mac Mini. So I think that's kind of a cool little thing. But yeah, and everything looks really cool. They just do a really fantastic job of the products that they offer. So check them out. It is a premium brand, so you are going to pay a little bit more for their stuff. But to get to the products that I purchased, the first one is called the Caddy Sack, which the name is a little disconcerting, but the Caddy Sack. Now this looks like the book style thing. It looks like a little book, maybe about an inch to an inch and a half thick. It's got a zipper on the outside of it. And when you open it up, there's little straps and a little mesh pocket for carrying your cables. And with the cables, there's 3 little loops for cables on the left-hand side. And then on the other side, the loops go all the way across, and they actually have a little Velcro strap that that resizes for the whatever it is that you want to put in there. So it's really nice that way. These straps on the right side are designed for your MacBook or MacBook Pro charger, the square brick, and then you can put the cable. You can wind up the cable and put that under the other strap, and that's kind of what they designed it for. For my vacation, I'm not taking my MacBook with me. So what I'm using it for is just I'm going to put my wireless charger in here and also the USB-C adapter because I don't have anything else for USB-C, and my Lightning to USB cable I'm going to put on that side. And you also notice that there's a little pen holder in the middle as well, so you can throw a pen in there. So I did that. I'm not sure exactly why, but put a pen in there just in case I need it. You never know when you're going to need a pen. But I think this is just a really cool thing. You can buy cable organizers and stuff like that online for $10, $20. But what I bought here, they sell it on the website for $59. I did not pay $59 for it. I got it for about $40 on Amazon. But the build quality, just how they built these is so much nicer than if you were to buy just the $10 cheapo thing on Amazon. So I'm really happy with this. This will have all the cables I need for the vacation in it. I did also purchase a multi-plug that has 3 regular outlets on it and then 3 USB outlets on it. That
Mm-hmm.
will basically be what I use for my charging station when we're on vacation as well. Now, the reason that I picked 12 South in my Delight Me, the Delight Me segment here, is so that I could talk about both of these products that I bought. So the Caddyshack was the first thing. Now the other thing is called the Airfly. Have you seen the Airfly before?
Mm-mm.
No. So the Airfly is their solution for. I have a pair of Bluetooth headphones with me, but to use the in-flight entertainment system, I have to plug a headphone jack into that. So
Oh, I know what this is. Okay.
this
Yeah.
is a small little USB um, receiver transmitter. And I say that because this one's a little unique compared to the other ones. But this will plug into just a 3.5 millimeter jack, and then when you turn it on, it will um, transmit the. I'm trying to make sure that I use transmit and receive properly, but it'll transmit the Bluetooth signals so that you can throw on your Bluetooth headphones and listen to whatever's this is plugged into. They have a regular version of this that they came out with a while ago. They have a special version for the Switch that I would have to look and see why it's special and why you need a special version for the Switch. I don't know if it has the ability to use the mic,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, but that could be the difference. And then they have a different one called the Duo, which the difference between the first two and the Duo is a Duo you can connect two devices to, so that you can have two people listen to the same audio.
Mm-hmm.
The one that I bought is the Pro, because I always have to pick the most expensive one to purchase. But the Pro gives you two audio streams, so the same thing as the Duo would allow you. But this has a feature on it that I don't know that I've ever seen this in another device like this. There's a little switch on the side there. I don't know if you can see that,
Mm-hmm.
but it says TX on one side of the switch and RX on the other side of the switch. So the TX stands for transmit or transfer. The RX stands for receive.
Right.
So here's what's unique about this. If I want to plug this into a headphone jack and listen to something through my Bluetooth headphones, I can do that. I just put it on TX or transmit. If I want to send something to a device that has an auxiliary input on it to to hold on a second. If I want to send audio to a device to be able to listen to it through speakers because it doesn't have Bluetooth on it, I flip that switch
Yep.
and this becomes a receiver instead
That's
of a
clever.
transmitter.
Clever.
So
So it has way more use cases than just for airplanes then, which
I
is
mean,
great. Yeah.
it did before, but this gives it even more features. So if I've got an old stereo system that I want to plug this into so that I can listen to something off my iPhone, I can do that. And so this was $40.
That's it.
That's it. That's what I paid for it on Amazon. I think they might
Jeez.
charge 59 for it on their website. But
It's 45 on their website right now.
is it 45? Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Well,
paid
it's usually 50, but it's marked down to 45 right now.
that. So really cool piece
Yeah.
of gadgetry or whatever, and it comes in this cool little pouch that says Airfly on it.
And it so it says it has a 16-hour battery life, but can you leave it plugged in and use it consistently?
I haven't tried it. I wondered about that myself. It's got a little USB-C jack on the bottom, and it comes with just a really short cable.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll work with any USB or USB-C cable. But yeah, so I don't know that you would need. I mean, you could certainly. Hopefully, you can plug it in and it would just keep it powered. But if you were out on the go, which is how this is intended, I'm sure you could. You wouldn't need to keep it plugged in. because you wouldn't be using
Right.
it
Yeah, I
for
was just
16
thinking if
hours.
someone has like a really awesome home stereo system and getting it in the jack, it just would be easier just to set it and forget it. You know what I mean?
No, I get that. I get the use
But
case for it.
that's pretty cool, Mitch. I didn't know they made this.
Yeah. No, I'm super excited about this. I think I don't know if this will be one of those things that I'll need for sure while we're on vacation. But man, if you need it and don't have it, it's one of those things that could and I know I'll use this,
Yeah.
but um but it's one of those things that's really nice to have for when you need it. So
Well, I'm thinking for youth group, it'd be great because then I can control the music from my phone anywhere in the
mhm.
church, which would be great.
Yeah, I have a one that Aki makes that is just a receiver, so that I use at work because we have a little radio at work that we listen to while we're unloading the trucks, and so that gives me the ability to plug that into, and that one does power off of the USB connector on it, and that one is just the receiver, and that was $25. So but that one works really nice because then I can walk around. I can actually leave my phone in my pocket. And I've been almost halfway across the store and it hasn't cut out, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's impressive.
So I was sitting in the bathroom the other day and it was connected. I thought for sure I was going to lose my connection because the bathroom is not that, it's a ways away from receiving. And it stayed connected the whole time. So it was pretty cool. But that one
Sweet.
Aki makes. So if you're looking for something that's just a receiver, that's not a bad option either.
Very cool.
So cool. All right. Well, as always, if you are looking for Cam and I, check us out at innerdialogue.show. We have our full catalog there, and we certainly would love to hear from you guys. So if you'd like to hit us up on Twitter, I'm at Mitch Craig.
I'm at Cam Brennan.
Yeah. Cam beat me at chess again. I don't like how the game that we're playing right now is going either. We'll see.
We'll see. It's
But,
still very early.
Very early. But at any rate, hit us up on Twitter if you have questions, comments, need anything. Our shirt is still available on Cotton Bureau. So if you would like to purchase one, I purchased one. I think it turned out really well. And it is available in a few different colors.
Is it that soft tri-blend?
It is.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Right.
I bought another shirt when I ordered that shirt. And I've got my Flynn's Arcade shirt on today.
Nice.
So this is a shirt that I'm planning on wearing to a Galaxy's Edge. So because I need to show my geek. But at any rate, do check out the shirt up there. I did actually get some sales this last week, not of our shirt, but of another shirt that I put up there. So kind of excited about that. I mean, I only made $9. I sold 3 of them, so I only make $3 per shirt. But whatever.
That's pretty cool.
I literally spent 5 minutes throwing the design together and a few more minutes to put it up on Cotton Bureau. So it's not like $9 for that. A little bit of time investment is well worth it. So
nice.
But cool. All right. I also where did I put it? Oh, I also started messing around with making these little netted or these little nets for little carriers. Maybe I'll put there's a guy on Etsy that makes these for the Galaxy's Edge Coke bottles and also for the BB unit droids for carrying the droids. I'll throw a link in the show notes for that as well, so you guys can look at that. But they're basically just paracord carrying holders or whatever, just in little nets. So I had a little fun reverse engineering the way that he did it and making my own. So I've been working on that this week. But at any rate, we should wrap up the show. I need to shut up. All right. Well, it's been fun, Cam. We'll be back here in a couple of weeks, and we'll see you later, man.
Peace.